Earlier this week, I gave you the optimistic outlook on this Rangers squad and gave you 5 reasons why they would make the playoffs. But on today's show, I'm giving you 5 reasons why they won't make the playoffs.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Paddock, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covered this team for 13 seasons, including Ollie as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you so much for making Locked On Rangers first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Paddock. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, I'm giving you 5 reasons why the Rangers will miss the postseason. Just a heads up, I am recording this on Monday, working ahead for my wedding this weekend, and then my honeymoon on next week. So all of these will be not particularly timely. If you want something that is covering the very latest happenings in Texas Rangers world, be sure to check out the Locked On Rangers postcast with Jeff Biggs, who is doing a fantastic job holding it down, talking about every single game while I am gone. Before we get into all of today's episode, this show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Now, the Rangers have been not particularly great. Again, as I'm recording this on Monday, they're coming off of what might be the most disappointing road trip in a long time for this Rangers squad. It was disastrous. It was bad. It was awful. It was unfun. It was a lot of late nights and a lot of just misery and frustration from this weekend. And truly, I do believe in all of my 5 reasons that I gave you on Tuesday's show about why they will make the postseason, but I also simultaneously believe in my 5 reasons why they will miss the postseason. 2 things can be true, and as an objective journalist, I try and provide both the optimistic point of view, which when they deserve it, and even sometimes when they don't deserve it, and also the pessimistic view when they deserve it, and also maybe sometimes even when they don't deserve it. Let's get into the 5 reasons why I think this squad will miss the postseason. I really do think at the end of October, the Rangers will have missed, or even the start of October, the Rangers will have missed another postseason, probably their 3rd straight, because this has been a very, very frustrating year. And reason number 1 is that these offensive problems the Rangers are having, they are not just one quick fix and everything magically gets better. I mean, Jake Berger has been very, very streaky. He might be on the verge of a hot streak. I mean, Wyatt Langford has had a good weekend in West Sacramento, but it's really easy to have a good weekend in West Sacramento as a hitter if you're facing off against the A's, or if you're just any kind of hitter, whether you're a major league hitter facing off against the A's, or you're some AAA hitter who is hitting in that park when the A's are not playing in it, because it's still an active minor league ballpark. It is a very hitter-friendly ballpark, and this Rangers offense has just had a lot of problems over the last month to 6 weeks, basically the entire second half. Jock Peterson has been a Rangers carrying force for this offense, but even he in the month of August has been a little bit subpar. The Rangers are missing Josh Young. They will get him back, hopefully at some point here in the near future. Again, who knows what that timeline for return is specifically, especially here on Monday. He is supposed to do some kind of light baseball activities this week, and then maybe by the end of this month, you see Josh Young back. But again, I'll talk more about the injuries a little bit later on, actually in the very next reason why I think the Rangers missed the postseason. But this offense has had some real problems, and I don't think they just magically get solved even when Josh Young gets back. I mean, the Rangers are employing an everyday at bat 2 guys in this lineup that have been pretty darn bad offensively for a month now at this point. Evan Carter, his defense is fantastic. His base running is fantastic, but his offensive approach it's been good, but the results have been very, very bad for quite some time now, if not the entire year. There have been some stretches where Evan Carter's looked like a good offensive player, but for the last month or so, he has been just very, very bad. And it's nice to have at-bats that it doesn't always matter if the results end up in a good thing at the end of that bat. If you see 7 pitches or 8 pitches or 9 pitches, those can be valuable at-bats, even if they end in a strikeout. They can still be, productive things for the rest of this lineup of just working a pitcher over, getting guys to see more pitches out of the hand while they're in the on deck circle, and just tire a pitcher out. Those can be helpful, but you do need some occasional offensive thump or just some kind of offensive output from your center fielder or from your second baseman, because the Rangers have been employing Nicky Lopez as well, and his overall offensive numbers have taken a massive downturn. The first month to 6 weeks or so of Nicky Lopez on the Rangers was awesome. It was found money. I mean, he was hitting 400, it felt like, for 20-30 game stretch there, and he has not been for quite some time. His defense has been good to solid at times, but offensively he has provided not a whole lot of spark. Same with Justin Foscue, who is not quite the defender. He was an electric spark plug, giving the Rangers a real just power bat against left-handed pitching. But for the last month and some change, Justin Foscue has been not anywhere near as good as those first 6 weeks. Again, Justin Foscue, he is a very, very streaky hitter. When he is hot, he is as blazing hot as you can possibly get. But when he goes cold, it can get ugly. It can get ugly fast. One offensive bright spot for this Rangers catching tandem has been Austin Wynns, which is not a sentence that I really expected to utter at any point in the history of Texas Rangers baseball, but I do have to give credit to Austin Wynns, who has been a above average hitter by OPS plus. He has been an above average hitter in his tenure with the Texas Rangers in his first 14 games. Now, it may have gone downhill a little bit in the several games since I recorded this or in the weeks since, but Wynns has provided a little bit of offensive spark, and he's been the Rangers' second or third best hitter in the month of August, which, as good as that's been for him, for this Rangers offense, it is not a positive thing when a catcher who has been a glove-first career backup catcher is your second best hitter for half a month. That's not really what you're looking for. You're hoping that, your all-stars could be, maybe powering this lineup. But that has not really been the case. The number two reason I think the Rangers missed the postseason is that I think they're expecting a lot from these guys who are coming back off the injured list to just completely fix everything. And I don't think that is a wise strategy. I think the Rangers are banking on getting a lot from these guys who are on the injured list. I think they are being very optimistic with their timelines for return. For a lot of these guys, I mean, Josh Young is... who knows when he comes back at this point? He has had so many different timelines for return and how long this injury was supposed to keep him out, even throughout the course of this injury specifically. Now, credit to Josh Young, who had been very healthy up until this injury. He had been very healthy, and it has been a problem in his career of just random injuries, just taking him out for a month or a month and a half or 2 months or missing most of 2024 with that wrist injury that, you can't really call a guy injury prone for getting hit in the worst possible place to get hit, and then it dealt some damage. And I really do think it made an impact on him, not just 2024, but 2025 as well. But this has been a nagging injury that initially it wasn't even going to take him out for a game, but now he's been out for over a month at this point. He may be back within, 6 weeks of the injury, which is a long time to be out with just a calf strain. It is about the maximum amount of time that you usually expect for a non-major calf strain at that point. And the Rangers, who knows what you're going to get from Nathan Eovaldi when he comes back, who knows exactly when he's going to come back. Jacob deGrom, as you're listening to this, might already be on the IL. You might be screaming at me if you don't know that Jacob deGrom has been placed on the IL. I don't know if that's happened, but he came out of his last start with a tricep injury. He had been nursing a hip and glute strain, and that's worrisome. That is very, very worrisome for your 38-year-old ace, who is the best pitcher on this staff, which at this point has not been the awe-inspiring, incredible staff that the Rangers expected to be. And then that's not even mentioning Jack Leiter, who maybe has made a second rehab start since you have listened to this. His first rehab start looked awesome. I think the Rangers need to be bringing him back as a starter because, again, who knows the status of Nathan Eovaldi at this point? Who knows the status of Jacob deGrom? And honestly, if there is another injury, if the Rangers do get to the postseason and there is an injury to either Jacob deGrom or Nathan Eovaldi, or Lord forbid Mackenzie Gore, then your game 3 starter will be maybe Kumar Rocker or Cody Bradford. And as much as I like those guys, and I think those guys are helpful members of a rotation, I don't really think that is a winning plan to have one of those guys as your game 3 starter. Now, Jack Leiter, again, even when he comes back, he did not look that great this season. I think a lot of that was because he was pitching through this ankle injury. He looked very, very good in his first rehab start. The velocity looked good. It's just about getting, himself built back up and getting that ankle built back up. So we could see him back sooner as opposed to later. But again, who knows the exact specific timetable for Jack Leiter's return, and when he comes back, who knows exactly what he's going to look like. I think the Rangers are banking a lot on these injured players coming back and immediately fixing maybe not everything, but most things, and I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. Coming up, we got a couple more reasons for this Ranger squad, why they might miss the postseason, and I think the most important reason of all. All that and more right for this. This show is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. If you've got a sweet tooth like I do, then you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all that sugar. That's why the Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy Shots taste like treat your taste buds like into an explosion of fruity flavor with a tasty caffeine kick. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. A zero sugar treat that's sweet tooth approved, and I like how it's convenient too. It's just a small portable shot you can grab whenever I need a little pick me up, and it's becoming really one of my go-tos when I need something sweet without going overboard. With this week and cramming so many episodes into 1 week, I have needed some 5 Hour Energy Shots, and get yourself the candy flavored chaos with Fruity Rainbow 5 Hour Energy Shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com or at Amazon. This show is also brought to you by Gametime. There's nothing like watching a Ranger game, and it's even better when you get to watch it live. The excitement and the fans and everything that makes a baseball game great. There's only one problem. Getting tickets can feel like a grind. Long queues, surprise fees, and prices jumping at checkout, but that's where there's Gametime. The Gametime app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It is simple to use, and the Gametime guarantee means you get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here is the best part: the price you see and what you pay, because fees are included in that price you see. What you see is what you pay, period. 2 taps and it's done. No stress, no hidden fees, just great seats in minutes, and that's what makes it so easy to decide to go to a game last minute. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Shout out to the editors making Locked On Rangers first every single day. On tomorrow's show, I will be back and doing a Farm Friday episode previewing this top 30 re-rank that I'm unveiling next week at the midseason of the Rangers prospects. It's going to talk about where this farm is in general on the whole, talk about some of my favorite guys who did not make my top 30. And if you want to check out what's going on with this Rangers squad live today, up to date to what you're looking for, check out the Locked On Rangers postcast with the illustrious, incredible Jeff Biggs. Now, the number 3 reason I think the Rangers will miss the postseason this year is really because of this road trip. The Rangers had a golden opportunity to not only make up some ground, but maybe get themselves, could have been, if they had if they won both these series, if they won 3 out of 4 games against the Angels and they won 2 out of 3 games against the A's, not even a 7-game sweep of these terrible teams, which should have been possible and maybe even on their minds, the Rangers might be in first place in the AL West right now. They're not. They are not. They are 2 games out of the AL West, and they are out of a postseason spot. They are well below 500, and it's because they could not take advantage of these terrible teams. And this Rangers schedule does not really get that much more inviting. I mean, they're going to have a tough road trip next week against 2 teams that are probably not only going to make the postseason, but also have byes in the first round. The White Sox, I feel pretty confident in them not only making the postseason, but winning the division and also securing one of those 2 byes into the ALDS and not having to worry about messing around in that wild card round, which if the Rangers do make the postseason, that's probably where they'll be, barring some kind of historic run over these last 7 weeks. It would be really fun if the Rangers could do that, but because you cannot even beat these bad teams, what makes you think you're going to beat the good teams? I mean, the Rangers have 3 games against the Nationals this week, and they got 3 games this weekend against the Angels that just kicked their butts and made them look terrible. They're playing them yet again, and they've also got more games against the A's, who also kicked their butts and made them look terrible this past week. It was just brutal for the Rangers to not only just lose these games, but miss this opportunity to make up some ground in the favorable part of this schedule. The Rangers were able to take care of business against 2 lesser teams at home, at least in the Giants and the Orioles, but the offense still wasn't even really going in those two series in that homestand. The Rangers still were not really able to pour on a whole bunch of runs against 2 pitching staffs that are not the best, and 2 teams that just sold pretty big at the deadline. The Rangers had prime opportunities. Now, this team makes absolutely no sense, and it would not shock me. I'm not banking on it, but it would not shock me if they waited until they faced off against some good teams to actually go on a run, because this team makes no sense. The sport of baseball makes no sense, but really, this team wasting prime opportunities against terrible teams is a huge reason why they are not only out of a postseason spot right now, but why I don't know if they're going to jump back into one between now and the end of the season. And they could end up being on their couches in October watching baseball like the rest of us. And it is just a very, very frustrating state to be in when you are self-proclaimed contenders. When Jacob deGrom said this team is good enough to be contenders, and the Rangers did not sell at the deadline and said, okay, go make it happen. Here's Chase Silseth and Logan O'Hoppe in AAA until September, and that's what you get. If you think this team is good enough to contend, then go to contend. And then they really haven't, even against the worst teams in the league. It is incredibly frustrating. But the number 4 reason that I don't think the Rangers make the postseason is that there's not really anybody on this farm that is going to come up and make a big impact on this team that's going to provide a spark. There's no Evan Carter waiting in the wings. Now, I know some of you may be saying, but Sebastian Walcott, and I love me some Sebastian Walcott. I think this guy is going to be a fantastic player. I have loved what he has done since coming back from the injury. I love that he was able to work really hard on his rehab and was able to get back towards the middle of July when I thought he was going to be out for the vast majority, if not the entirety of this season. But Sebastian Walcott is still dealing with the ramifications of that elbow surgery. He is still not throwing. I have not seen any kind of a timeline for a return to the field if he does even start throwing again. And so if you call up Sebastian Walcott, it is to be a full-time DH. You are already employing a full-time DH who is a pretty darn good hitter at the major league level in Jock Peterson. Now, granted, he is a platoon-only DH, so if you call up Sebastian Walcott, even when the rosters are expanded, you're calling him up to be a DH only, and probably only against left-handed pitching. And I love Sebastian Walcott, and I think he could maybe provide make it hit okay at the big league level right now, but it just does not seem worth it to call up a guy to sit him on the bench for the vast majority of his time here and only be a DH and only against left-handed pitching. That is just not a guy who is going to come in and provide a spark. And if he was fully healthy, maybe he's knocking on the door. Maybe he's already up and playing third base every day. And then when Josh Young gets back, again, that becomes a whole kind of other problem. But it's not like there's anybody else. And this offense is the part of this team that needs some help. I mean, the rotation could maybe use another arm. It would be nice if Jordan Montgomery was somewhere closer to the 2023 version of himself as opposed to the 2025 version of himself. But alas, that's what it is right now, and there's not really anybody in AAA Round Rock that is just waiting to come up and provide a big old spark. Logan O'Hoppe maybe, but I still hear a lot of cries for Alejandro Ozuna that he's going to provide some thump to this lineup. He has 2 home runs in 27 games in the minor leagues this year. I mean, he is not providing thump to this offense. He's providing quality at-bats, he's providing energy, but he's probably not going to play every day if the Raiders do call him up. I mean, and even in 76 games at the big league level, he had 1 home run. He has 3 home runs on the entire year. And I saw some folks claiming for, oh, well, the Raiders could use some spark in their offense. They could use some thump in their offense. And here's Alejandro Ozuna hitting home runs in the minor leagues. He hit 2 home runs in the minor leagues this year in one of the big leagues. Across the course of over 100 games at this point between the 2 levels, he has 3 home runs. He is a guy who I think will be a helpful big leaguer at some point, but not really right now. He is not what the Rangers need. There's not really any arms that I'm feeling like, oh yes, call this guy up and he's going to provide a huge, huge spark to this pen. The Rangers have kind of already done that at times with Gavin Collier, who has, been better than expected. They called up Robbie Alstrom, and he had a really nice run for the first, 2-3 weeks of the second half, and has since not looked quite as unstoppable. I don't know what to expect from Jose Corniel. I don't know. Winston Santos maybe could provide a little bit of help in this bullpen, but again, I don't really know at this point. But there's not really anybody there waiting on this farm that could just jump up and immediately provide an impact and provide a spark and just get this team some kind of life, because this week they looked dead against the worst teams in baseball, and that might be the most frustrating part of all, is that they had opportunities against teams with nothing to play for, and they look like the teams that were completely out of it. Coming up, we got the last reason why I think the Rangers missed the postseason, and maybe this is my most flimsy reason of all. Or is it my best? I'll let you decide right after this. This show is brought to you by Dose Daily. Can we talk about one of the most underrated organs in your body? It's your liver. It's your body's filter, processing everything you consume and performing even more than 500 functions daily. It's involved in things like energy production, digestion, fat metabolism, and vitamin storage. So it's doing a whole lot of work behind the scenes. It's also involved in things like all kinds of that. All along with that, it's why giving your liver a daily supplement support can be an important part of building healthy habits. Dose for Your Liver is a clinically backed liver health supplement designed to support daily liver function. Unlike another capsule or powder, Dose comes as a liquid 2-ounce daily shot that tastes just like fresh squeezed orange juice. It's zero sugar, zero junk, and 0 calories, making it an easy addition into your daily routine. We've got so many different things going on, it's hard to fit another thing into your routine, but Dose, it is just a quick daily shot, takes no time whatsoever, and again, it tastes like orange juice, and who doesn't love fresh squeezed orange juice? If you're ready to give your liver the daily support it deserves, head to dosedaily.co/LockedOnMLB or enter code LockedOnMLB to get 35% off your first subscription. Your body does so much for you, so let's do something for it. That's dosedaily.co/LockedOnMLB for 35% off your first month subscription. Shout out to everyone for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On next week's shows, I will be doing 5 full shows re-ranking at the mid-season my top 30 Rangers prospects. I will be adding in, for the first time on mid-season rankings, all of the Rangers draftees that I think should be included in the Rangers top 30 on next week's episodes of Locked On Rangers. Now, the last reason I think the Rangers will miss the postseason is maybe the most frustrating reason that the Rangers have been bad so far this year. It's that the best players are not playing like the best players. The Rangers have a lot of really talented players on this roster. That is an indescribable fact. Like, it just is a fact. There are a lot of players who have played really well in their career on this baseball team, and they should, by all metrics and indication, all expectations heading into the season was that this team was going to be a playoff contender, was going to be an AL West contender, and while they technically still are, it doesn't feel like they should, but they have not performed to the levels of their expectations. Basically anybody on this team that was expected to be a star. The reason I thought the Rangers were going to be good at the start of the season, because I thought this rotation was going to be unbeatable, but so far it has been very beatable. Today, as I'm recording on Monday, the Rangers have 5 guys who have made 15 or more starts. That's Mackenzie Gore, Nathan Eovaldi, DeGrom, Rocker, and Leiter, and every single one of those guys has an ERA worse than 3.90. Jacob deGrom is the best at 3.95, but everybody else in this rotation has an ERA of 4 or worse. And it could be, as you're listening to this, that Jacob deGrom made a start and allowed runs enough to push his ERA over 4, which would be, I believe, the first time in his entire career. But these guys who are supposed to be stellar, supposed to be untouchable, supposed to be dominant, there are still questions about this offense, but what I did not think was going to be the problem on this team would be the rotation. And unfortunately, it has been. Even with Rocker being better than expected, still not great overall. A 4.5 ERA is nothing, spectacular, but he has had some really brilliant moments. Leiter has been injured and pitching through an injury for most of this season, and hopefully we'll be back and be able to, get his ERA down below 5 by the end of this season, but who knows? At this point, Mackenzie Gore has been a profound disappointment. Nathan Eovaldi, I wasn't expecting him to have a sub-2 ERA again this year, but, he has had some real stinkers, including in some big, big games. His last start before he got injured against the Astros it was brutal, and it was a big game, Nate, moment where for the first time that I can remember in Nathan Eovaldi's history, he did not step up massively in a way the Rangers needed him to at the most crucial moment of his season. And Corey Seager has been having a really bad year. It has been brutal for Corey Seager. He has been injured, which is not particularly different than the rest of Corey Seager's career, but this has been a new injury. This is not the same soft tissue injuries, although that has been kind of part of it. It's been a concussion. It's been a back issue that has been new, and that's kind of terrifying. Back issues are no joke, and especially as Corey Seager is inching closer towards his mid-30s. He might already be there based on some people's definition of your mid-30s, but he's still 32. He doesn't turn 33 till next year, so I still say early 30s, but he is a guy who has had a lot of wear and tear on his body, and he has not been performing anywhere near like the hitter he is capable of being. And there really haven't been many stretches, if any stretches this year, where Corey Seager has looked like Corey Seager for more than like 2 weeks. And that is terrifying, because even through all the injuries with Corey Seager, those have been a constant in his career, unfortunately. But what's also been a constant is that Corey Seager has been awesome when he's been on the field. Even when he's been, immediately activated off the IL, he usually is just boom. There's Corey Seager back and just crushing baseballs, being a great defender at shortstop, and also being one of the best hitters in baseball. And that really has not been the case for Corey Seager. Wyatt Langford looked outstanding for a stretch there, but has gone pretty ice cold, hoping that he is the last game, or one of the last games in no longer Oakland, in West Sacramento, was helpful to him starting to break out, but he had a pretty dreadful skid for the first half of August, and the Rangers could desperately have used any of their stars hitting like stars for the month of August, besides Brandon Nimmo, who has been doing great for basically the entirety of the season, as still one of the unluckiest hitters in all of Major League Baseball. Nimmo has been just such a revelation to this offense, but the stars that were supposed to be the stars of this team have just been massively underperforming, and if they're not acting like the stars that the Rangers expected them to be, Mackenzie Gore, I barely even touched on him. Gore was supposed to be this breakout candidate. He was an all-star last year. He is a guy who, you catch him at the right moment and he looks like one of the best pitchers in baseball. But you catch him at his worst moment, he looks like a guy who just cannot find the zone for at least like a 3, 4, 5 batter stretch basically every game. And you just gotta hope that 3, 4 batter stretch comes against guys who are not very good hitters, who are not very patient hitters, who can, bail him out of it. He always comes out of it eventually if he's allowed to stay in the game for long enough, but it's just a constant for Mackenzie Gore, and sometimes those 3, 4, 5 batter stretches go 7 batters. Sometimes it just eats up a whole inning, and then boom, he's given up a 4 spot in an inning, and he might bounce back and look amazing for the rest of that start, but the damage is done at that point. And Mackenzie Gore has not taken this huge step forward that I expected him to. He's really not taken any steps forward. He's kind of taken several steps backward, which was not at all what I expected. This is a better environment for pitching development than the Nationals. This is a significantly better defense than what the Nationals were having last year, which it's not been a great defense. It's not been anywhere near the outstanding defense it was in 2025, but it's way better than what the Nationals were rocking with him in 2024 and 2023 and every other year of his career at the big league level with Washington. And they've also got just better catching, better coaching than what he was given in DC. And I thought that would be a breakout year for Mackenzie Gore. Unfortunately, it hasn't been. At least he's been healthy. He's right now leading the American League, or at least tied for the American League in starts with 26 starts. But it has been pretty darn frustrating for Mackenzie Gore, for Jacob deGrom, for Nathan Eovaldi, all these guys that I thought were going to be just holding down this Rangers team and propping them up. Despite the questions that I had about this offense, I mean, Jock Peterson's been much better than expected for the vast majority of this year, but he can only do so much. And Corey Seager, your stars need to be like stars for the next 6-7 weeks of this season and in the postseason. If you want to get to the postseason and if you want to go anywhere in the postseason, you need your best players to be your best players. And so far they haven't been, and I'm not sure if they're going to be for the rest of the season. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope that I'm wrong. I hope that you're listening to this as the Rangers have won the first 2 games of this series against the Nationals, and Corey Seager's looked incredible, and Jacob deGrom made his start and, threw a perfect game with 27 strikeouts. I hope that I look very stupid in saying all this, but just watching this team for the full year, they have led me to this pessimism. They have been a very frustrating squad. They are a talented squad. They are perfectly capable of making the postseason, especially in an American League this bad, which I talked about earlier this week. But because they have been so underwhelming, so underperforming, and because of these 5 reasons, I kind of do think that the Rangers do miss the postseason this year. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you all so much for listening and subscribing. And until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.